In the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. They're not easy, are they? These Gospels we hear in this Kingdom season, these Sundays leading into Advent. We hear of wedding feasts with recalcitrant guests, foolish bridesmaids, and guests who missed the dress code. Today we have a master with a reputation who entrusts and takes away, and next week the judging and separatist king. I'll be honest, these parables don't sit easily with me. We get to this point in the year and I'm longing to be done with these hard sayings and move on to Mark, only to know that this time next year I'll be longing to be done with Mark and wanting to move on to Luke. So back to discomforting Matthew. Last weekend, before my sore throat took hold, I caught up with some friends. Over lunch, they were keen to know what the Sunday message was going to be. So I told them a condensed version of the parable of the bridesmaids, who came prepared with oil, and those who did not come prepared. That doesn't sound very fair, one of them said. They should have shared their oil. Well, they didn't, I said. That's not the point of the story. Still, she said, that's not very Christian, is it? Not sharing. And suddenly, all my well-reasoned theological arguments didn't seem very convincing anymore. Because whether it's the point of the story or not, there's also a part of me that says, why didn't they share their oil? The bridegroom was on his way, it wasn't going to be long. Surely there was enough for all for that moment. And so I feel discomforted. So too with today's parable. Like the guest who unexpectedly finds himself at the wedding banquet only to be cast out, so too we have servants who receive unexpected bonuses, only for one, the only one, it seems, who had any gumption or courage to name the situation for what it was, to find himself quite literally penniless and on the outer. And again, this doesn't sit easily with us. Where's the concession? Where's the compassion? Where's the understanding? That's not very Christian, we cry. That's not fair. And we feel discomforted. Because he's not very comforting, this Matthean Messiah. He calls out scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites he calls them. He talks of whitewashed tombs with decaying corpses inside them and bowls that have been cleaned for show but not for care. And here we have a master and a host and a bridegroom who do not act the way we want them to. Matthean Jesus is not gentle Jesus, meek and mild, but challenging Jesus, discomforting Jesus. Some years ago, what would Jesus do was everywhere as a saying. Turns out that what Jesus would do is not necessarily what we want Jesus to do. And we do not like it. And we are discomforted. I'll be honest again. It discomforts me because I can place myself in each one of these situations, turning up and not feeling that I've done enough to fit in. Tick. I know that I'm highly likely to be the bridesmaid that rushed out the door at the last minute, queen of the last minute that I am, forgetting to grab that extra flask of oil as I bolted to catch up with the rest. And taking a risk, being courageous when I might lose it all? Well, what's so bad about just wanting to take the safe path? As for sheep and goats next week, well, I don't need others to tell me all the things that I ought to have done but have not done, and all the things I have done but ought not to have done, because I am only too familiar with my own sins of omission and commission. I want my kingdom to be broad and wide, easy to enter, not discomforting at all. But wait, there it is. Did you hear it? Did you hear the problem with this? I want my kingdom. My kingdom. Not Jesus' kingdom, but mine. And it's not my kingdom. It's God's. And that's discomforting. These kingdom parables serve to remind us that even though we find them discomforting, in the end, it's not about whether we're wearing the right thing, it's about whether we've changed. And in the end, it's not about whether we thought to be organised, it's about whether we bring light where we are and whether we light the way of others. And in the end, it's not about our investment credentials or our stock portfolio or whatever other measures of success others want to attribute to us. It's whether we give it a go, whether we tried our best. And next week, in the end, it's not about what we did or didn't do, or did or didn't see, but how we lived, how we served others with our lives. And in the end, we judge ourselves and others, though mostly we judge ourselves, for we always judge ourselves most harshly, and we find the ledger lacking. Then these parables remind us, we are not the judge, God is. And the kingdom is not ours, for it is God's. A God who isn't fair, but a God who is rich in mercy, full of compassion, slow to anger, abounding in goodness, infinite in grace and love and forgiveness. A God who isn't fair, who gives to the last labourer the same as the first, who eats with sinners, who never ceases to hope for, to search for, to celebrate the one who was lost and is found, and the whole is restored once more. What would Jesus do? This discomforting, incarnate God, Emmanuel, God with us? Not what I would do. And in the end, I know I'll be thankful for that. Amen.